Good morning. Hi, all, and welcome to our Eco Tech Talk today, where we'll be talking about how software is accelerating solar development and construction. My name is Emily Obenauer. I'm a senior product marketing manager with Sidetracker, and I'm going to be kicking things off today. I am joined today by my colleague, Fadi Aberjaili, who's our Senior Director of Energy Product Solutions at Sidetracker. Fadi has over 15 years of experience in the solar industry, working with the likes of SunPower and Power Factors before coming to Sidetracker. I'll hand things over to him here in just a little bit. All right, so here's what you can expect from today's webinar. We'll start with a state of the industry to discuss the growth that we're all seeing and experiencing within solar and the renewable energy space at large, and of course, those very real barriers that we're all experiencing as well. We'll also dive into the meat of today's convo, which is all around opportunities for efficiency gains. We'll share some insights, best practices, stories. All of these things should really leave your cups quite full and leave you with some actionable to-dos. And then, of course, lastly, we will leave some room for Q&A with all of you. So like Bhumika mentioned at the onset of this call, please be dropping those questions into the Q&A box. Anything we don't get to today, we will follow up in email, but we'll try to get to as many of those as we can later. All right, state of the industry. Let's go ahead and just spend a couple of minutes talking about what's been happening. Okay, so unsurprising to this group, I know, but the big message here is that solar is dominating renewable energy capacity additions. In fact, it's currently on track to surpass coal-fired generation by 2027, and it's going to become the largest generation source globally. Very exciting. In 2022, solar generation had a record-breaking year with a year-over-year increase of about 26%. And 2023, we expect to be no different. We expect it to be another record-setting year for solar. I think ultimately, when we look at solar and think of all of the strategies that we're currently using, all of those levers we're pulling to achieve net zero, solar is really one of the only strategies that's actually on track according to the International Energy Agency. So huge growth, not just within the US, not within just Europe, not just within APAC, globally. Everywhere we're seeing huge, huge growth. Now let's maybe dive into that a little bit further just to emphasize that growth that we're all, I know, seeing and experiencing again. When you look at Europe, 2022 saw a 50% increase in solar capacity addition as compared to 2021. Excuse me, let me just go ahead and forward that slide. Compared to 2021, it was a 38 gigawatt increase. Now, if you go to the other side of this, India also saw similar types of stats, right? A 40% increase compared to 2021 in 2022 with 18 gigawatts added. Now, the US was a slightly different story. It actually saw a little bit of a dip from 2021 to 2022, about a 12.5% dip. Now, that being said, massive policy support within the US and a lot of differences in terms of pulling manufacturing into the US based on the IRA that had been passed at the end of last year. So this year, we expect to end it in a big way with 32 gigawatts of addition or of capacity addition added. So really going to be turning things around right there. So across the globe, again, huge, huge additions. Now, as exciting as all of this growth is, you know, it's also a massive global effort, right? The challenges cannot be understated what it takes to deploy solar at this scale and at this speed and at this pace, this maintained pace. And so, really, the task at hand is again to either maintain or even increase the pace in which we're deploying solar on an annual basis across the globe. And ultimately, that leaves us with this big question of can we do it? Do we have the tools necessary to be able to do this effectively and efficiently and maintain or again increase that pace? So I think that sets us up really well to go into the conversation today with my colleague Fadi to talk about those efficiency gains and really what we can be doing there. So Fadi, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you at this point.
Thank you, Emily, and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this webinar. I'm going to start with a couple of poll questions just to learn more about who is attending here, what group you're working with. The first poll is just trying to ask what group do you work in? Are you in the development group, EPC, O&M, or asset management?
We'll give you guys just a couple of minutes to fit here. I am super interested to see where we get if we have more developers, folks maybe on the asset management end of things. We'll see where this shakes out. Okay,
I'll
just one more
say,
minute, guys.
I'll say a lot of development. Uh,
Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to close that one out and we'll share results.
hey,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
a lot of development.
Perfect. And the next question is really looking at, are you doing residential work or commercial or utility work?
We'll go ahead and launch that poll now, guys. Go ahead and let us know what kind of projects you're working on.
I bet it's mostly utilities. It's where there's a lot of difficulties there.
Yeah, and man, also where we're seeing the most growth, right?
Yeah,
Great, guys. Just one more sec. I think as we assumed,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
mostly utility
That's
scale
good.
there, but also a good mix. So that's
Good.
great.
There is a commercial, yeah, and many companies do utilities and commercial at the same time. Uh, Great. So I'm going to start talking about really how do we go about winning these soft cost battles and how to improve your execution and how to become more competitive in this very competitive market where cost is really big now. The market is mature, a lot of players, and it's everybody need to move their game to the next level of sophistication. The key building blocks that you have in your hands that you work with every day is first, mainly the cornerstone are your people. These are the people on the ground doing the work, the engineers, developer, the people in O&M. Really, they are your foundation. They are the one that we need to empower to move their execution to the next level, to empower them in every way we can, because they're the heart of the company. And this is done through through the processes that you develop that need to be standardized, need to be improved and made simple for them to execute on and to make the work repetitive so we don't want to make mistakes. So processes are essential complement to the team to allow them to move their implementation level to the next level of sophistication. And these processes need to be packaged in a way, in a tool, to make them accessible to them, to the people using them. Many companies, they develop great processes, but they are sitting in SharePoint and they are not accessible during the day-to-day work. So you need a tool to package these processes, to make them available, to make them at the fingertip in a day-to-day work. While doing my work, the tool is guiding me through the process that I need to follow. And last but not least is the governance. Once you build that infrastructure and train your team, and you need to govern these processes, these tools, to keep enhancing them as you go. And next slide, please, Emily. And the way you do that, there are many processes and tools to manage that kind of work. There is a tool called Capability Maturity Model Integration. It's a tool that was developed by the University of Carnegie Mellon to guide companies in their growth to excellence and to measure how they're progressing toward that and be able to set some goals and some specifications on what these levels mean. And every company starts at level one. The processes are unpredictable. Everybody's running around to just execute on the work. With disregard on how I'm doing it and what's the process I'm doing it, you are in a state where you need to execute. But as the company grow, then they realize we're wasting a lot of money. We need to become more efficient. We need to have some standardization across the different projects. And that's where they stop and sit down and say, hey, let's start documenting our processes. First, it's being done by department, and you start managing, improving your processes and documenting them and start using them department by department, but they're still in Excel and in a flow chart sitting in SharePoint, and they are not at the fingertips of the people. And this is when companies realize, no, we need now to go to the next level of sophistication, where first we need to do these processes cross-departmentals, and second, we need to bring them to the fingertips of the users and not having something sitting in SharePoint that it's very hard to access, that very few people go check on a day-to-day basis. So that's where you go to the level 3. You start connecting all your departments together. All these processes get connected across departments, and you bring these processes into a tool that brings those processes to the user. Once you do that, this level 3 is really the foundation to allow you to increase your excellence and really start your cost saving, because now everybody's operating in a similar way. They're following standard process. You're collecting the same data, standard data across the different functions, so you can analyze that data, start doing some analytics, and move to level 4, where you're doing quantitatively managing your company. You're measuring everything, and you're looking what projects are performing well, what projects are not performing well, and you're trying to learn from that data, where are the good things that are happening so I can do more of them, and you fold more of these goodness into your processes. And also you detect where are the areas I'm struggling with and I'm having issues and there are gaps in my process. You identify that, and then you go close that loop, close that gap in your process, update your tools, update your processes, and get through this continuous improvement loop. It is essential. I mean, winning the cost battle and improving, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is a long journey, especially when you start iterating between level 3, 4, and 5. This is need to be done continuously across a year. It's not the one time you do it. Every project, or you select a number of projects, the projects that get very late in the schedule or very late, they overrun their budget. You do a deep dive in them, you understand what went wrong, and then you make adjustment to your machine so you prevent that occurrence from happening again. So level 3 is your foundation. You need a tool, pull everything together, start standardizing the data, then start managing that data and improving and going L3, L4, L5, and going through that loop. So one more poll, and I promise there's one more at the end, but that's it. Just trying to understand, where do you think your company is today? Don't be worried if you don't say level 4 or 5. There are very, very few companies at level 4 and 5. It takes good focus to get there. Most companies are at level 3 and trying to figure out, how do I get to level 4?
Yeah, I think the results are coming in now, Fadi, and I think probably what we could expect, but a good mix too. We'll give you guys just a couple more seconds, get your answers in. All right, let's see those results.
Wow.
So it looks like a few level 1s, but also spread across some level 3 and even a level 4 in there.
Yeah, this is great to see some level 4. I was hoping more level 2s and 3s. Great, great. So now we know why you're here. Thank you for coming. Okay, let's move on. So the first thing to do to get, I'm saying level 1 to level 2, you know what you need to do. You need to sit down in these rooms and start drawing these flow charts and having agreement between all your team members and your different organization you interact with, to really document these processes down. And going from level 2 to level 3 is what this chart is about, is now taking these processes that are being used in separate tools, like in Excel, that are being executed in Microsoft project, or documentation all over the place in SharePoint without the revision control, and trying to bring in all these functions into a single tool. This is the power to really bring all of this into a tool, interconnected, so then you can have the data coming out of that system that you will be able to analyze. So level 3, bring the data into a system. First, standardize it at level 2. And during the process to go to level 3, bring it into that single system. And that is where the business process management applications live. This is what Sidetracker does. is allow you to bring in all these documents, the budgets, the schedules, and intelligent scheduling. We'll talk about it more here. The work management for your O&M or any field work that you need to manage. And more importantly, you can bring in your subcontractors to also interface with you through these tools instead of doing emails and Teams and other platform. And the most important part is to bring these processes and workflows that you defined on how you were going to operate your business and embed them in that tool. So they are really driving the user on how to do it. What are the different phases of the project? What are the deliverables of every different phase? Once you bring it all into this single system, you have a single source of truth, then you can start reporting on it. You can start doing analytic on it. You can start having visibility into what's going on under the hood. I don't need to go walk down the hall and ask the project manager where he is today. I can just open up the tool and see it. Everybody in the company can now have insight of what's going on in there, and everybody can pull the data that they need to do the analytics for their own department, for their own function on what are the issues that they're seeing and what they need to fix. So a business process management platform like Sidetracker, coupled with an ERP system that will do the finance and supply chain and procurement and inventory that usually are not done by business process management tools. These two platforms, you couple them together, you integrate them, so the people working, the project manager does not need to go into the ERP. He has interfaces to the ERP from the business process management tool. He can stay there and do all his work there, and he can have visibility into everything he needs. He can see all the invoices and the POs that were generated against his budget from his business process management tool. He can look at the procurement and see the delivery time of some of the material from the business process management tool. He have visibility in everything he needs to know to optimize his project directly from his business process management tool without having to go to Excels and call people and send emails and get statuses from everybody. So this is foundational for level 3, and level 3 is foundational to allow you to go to level 4 and 5 and start reaping the fruits of really that continuous improvement that you will be making.
Awesome. So shall we dive into some of those must-have features to drive efficiency across solar?
Yes, let's go there.
Let's do it.
Integrated processes. What does this mean? Integrating processes, I mentioned it a couple of times. You need to bring these processes from a flowchart in SharePoint to the daily use and the tool that your people, your team are using. And how do we do that? We have the processes, the forms, the checklist, the workflows. They're all integrated in the system. We have templates for every activities, major activities that your team does. So there is a form that guide them through how that task need to be done. There is a checklist of all the deliverables they need to deliver on that activity that they can pick up from the system, and they can go through it. The workflow, the different phases of progress that are integrated in the system, the different approval that they require from moving from a phase to a phase in development or in engineering. And every single thing we do, we have different phases of progress. Design 30%, design 60%, design 90%. There are different reviews and different approval that need to happen. You can integrate all of that in the system and be able to capture. So anybody can go see where is the design stage of that project. And I can see the approval that happened. And I can see the comments on that review and approval that happened. Embed everything into the system and make it guide. The process is the system. The system and the process are the same, instead of them being distinct entities, one sitting in SharePoint and a flowchart, and one is the tool. Important thing also, the deliverables are also integrated in the system. So not only how to do the task and how to check that the task is completed, but also when you complete the task, you can bring in the deliverable of that task into the system and make it available to your partners and your other departments that need those deliverables. Last but not least, of course, start integrating, adding layers, and that's what we do here at Sidetracker, adding layers of industry-specific practices. Bring in the best of all the industry and start layering these practices on top of these processes and tools to empower you to have a more specific implementation directly for your own industry.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd just point out, Fadi, is the scalability factor here, right? So important to have these integrated processes to really push scalability, especially in an industry like renewable energy and really into solar in particular, where we're seeing so much growth. Having these types of processes in place only helps you scale your team and scale, your portfolio of projects that much faster.
The next one is intelligent scheduling, and you're probably asking, what is intelligent scheduling? Intelligent scheduling is really now, as you brought in all these pieces into the system, to really interconnect them to your schedule module. The schedule today, as many of us use it in project and Microsoft project, it's really focusing on the schedule. It does not have other functionality integrated in it. So what we have done here at Sidetracker is really interconnect this schedule with all the input and output that the schedules are driving. So we have templates where you design a template for the specific project type, and with that template you specify each activity that need to be followed. What are the input for that activity? What are the output of that activity? What are the major milestones that you want to track, so you are able to benchmark different projects together? When you bring those, standardize these major milestones and these deliverables, then every project is executed in a similar way. At the same time, you're allowing your project manager to have the flexibility to add additional activity and add additional tasks and milestones that are specific to their implementation, that you have a backbone of that project that is going to be copied from one project to project, so to allow you to collect similar data and allow you to do analytics on that data and allows you to detect where things are going well and where things I need to go work on. So every task in your, every activity in your schedule has the same input as we talked about before, where you can specify the form describing what needs to be done. You can specify the checklist that you need to go to verify that really you are done. You can specify the output. You can say this activity has a document deliverable, and the document gets attached to that activity. So if there are some permits, I can go to that permit activity and see my permits there. It is a link to my permit archive, but you can browse everything on the project from input and output on through your schedule. In addition, you link your activities or major milestones to payments. Many of the milestones are associated with payments to your subcontractor or some invoicing to your customers that also are linked to the schedule. So we're pulling all of this together to empower the project manager to be more efficient and to be able to manage more projects at the same time without having to scramble all day to go get the information about the budget and find the documents and find the right revision of the document and the final deliverable. So this is really gives the project manager superpowers by pulling everything in front of him to at his fingertips. Next slide, please. The other area we all struggle with, if we are a project manager or we are not, and all of our functions, communication. There are so many communication channels that is challenging for all of us. With the Slack, and even within Slack, you have so many channels and so many different projects and direct communications and your phone messaging and emails. This is creating problems for all of us, and especially for project managers where they need to be on top of all these communication. They need to be talking to their subcontractor. They need to be talking to the engineers, and they need to centralize this communication in a way. And that's what these tools allow you to do, to start communicating around that project. Everybody involved in that project for any subject related to that project or that deliverable can be communicated into the system, and this communication string will be attached to that object or that project that you are discussing. So it's easy to find, to connect the string of communication to the object that you are talking about, and have it all centralized in this. This would improve your collaboration. It will really save a lot of time from searching for stuff. Is it an email? Is it in Slack? We all do spend time trying to figure out where is that document that somebody sent me, and trying to find it in all these different channels. It also improved the accountability of your team, because now the communication is there. It's attached to the project. You don't need to go look for it, and help you with traceability. When things go wrong, you can go look back on really what happened, so you can improve your process. And of course, it allows for faster decision making, so you can communicate faster, make that faster decision. Especially it's in the system where your data is there, your schedule, your budget, and everything is there. You can see it and make the decision right there.
I think this is a big one we hear a lot from customers and just folks within the solar space in particular, right? And more broadly, that ability to really centralize communication across various teams, connecting office to the field. It's incredibly invaluable.
Reporting, right? This is your level 4, and to get to level 4 and have these accurate reporting, you need a very strong level 3. You need to have a well developed and implemented level 3. And this is where now you can start harnessing that data through the reporting mechanism, and looking at what's going on under the hood, and to empower you to see the areas that need attentions and the areas that are going well. So having that data in a single system, now you can look at the performance. You can look at all these charts and guide your decision making very quickly and make the right decisions, because it's all based on data. And more importantly, enhance accountability. Right now, it's data is telling you which project is going well, where are we struggling, where are getting delayed, and where I need to go, where are the areas I can work on. And benchmarking is another way, right? When you start comparing projects, because now they're more standardized with same milestones, you can start benchmarking and seeing which are where I need to go work on. And this is the foundation for your level 5, which is a continuous improvement, which we'll talk about on the next slide. The continuous improvement is essential, and I see this is many companies do it in one form or another, but there is a big challenge. The big challenge is when you're at level 2 and you start doing continuous improvement. There are many tools. One of them is called DMAIC. This is defined. You define what you need to measure, you measure it, you analyze it, then you improve it, and then you control it, and then you keep going through that loop by detecting areas that need work and improving them, and go measure that the change that you made really improved the work. So the challenge with DMAIC is, once I identify an issue and I go figure out how to solve it, and it is most of the time it is a process issues, right? So I update my process, but my process is sitting in SharePoint, and taking that knowledge and pushing it across the organization is a challenge that everybody faces. You need that knowledge that you harnessed now from doing a DMAIC on an issue to be available to all your users immediately. And to allow you to do that, you need to be at level 3. You will go and update the process in the tool, and that finding, that fruit that you found, is now available to all your users immediately. And that's why it's essential to get to level 3 as fast as you can, because this is where you're able to start harnessing efficiencies. Coupled with level 4 and 5 to continue iterating with this DMAIC is really how you're going to get there. But you don't want to lose the fruits of these DMAIC or these investigations because they are gold, right? This is how you're gonna improve. You're gonna find all the areas you're struggling with, and you're gonna go improve them. And you want to push that improvement out as fast as possible across the whole group. So these kind of tools, they help you structure your problem solving, and you're making decisions on data, right? We're not making theories on how we need to change the process. It's very clear. Data is good, and you will take a subset of your projects and do the make on them, the projects that are struggling. And sometimes I've seen people do the makes on projects that have gone very well, because it's also good to understand why did this project go so well. Was it had Superman as a project manager, or the team is try to understand that too, because you can duplicate what happens in good project too. You're not only looking at the project that struggled. And this is your only way to really remove the cost and the waste from your process. This is the only way to become competitive, and you need to become competitive in the solar field, or it's gonna be a struggle for your company. Yeah. So as you go into implementing these software tools, it is essential that you first document your business processes before you try to go to level 3 and go buy a tool. The tool is not going to take you to level 3 by itself. The tool is not magic. The tool is really an encapsulation of your business process. So the first thing you need to do is really define your business process. And even if it's not defined at the 100%, even at 80% or 75%, it's good enough. Now you can go implement the tool and then improve your software in the tool. So as you embark on that road, before you get the tool, document your process as much as you can. And then as you document the tool, of course, you need to train your team. And the most important item is really also the governance, as equally important to the business process. Because as you deploy these tools and as you deploy these processes, you need to govern them some way to ensure people are executing to them, to ensure the data being collected is clean. Because as the data gets noisy, then you're not being able to do the analytic on it. And this is one area where many companies struggle with, is really continuously having the system data governed, and having clean data to, when you generate reports, when you do analytics, the data will make sense. There isn't a lot of noise in it. And this is only done by designing a good system and also governing the use of that system. So without any missing component is really going to create confusions and frustration during the deployment of these tools. So remember, it's a journey. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Get to level 2 as fast as possible, and then immediately make a sprint to level 3. And then level 3 and above becomes a long marathon that will help you improve. It's a great tool. I highly recommend you get the CMMI guide, and they help you guide you through that journey on how you can take your company through that journey.
All
Now,
right, one final poll.
yes, one last one, I promise. Is, are you satisfied with the current tools you're using?
Yeah, some good results coming in here, guys. We'll just take a couple more seconds. Go ahead and put in your answers here. Thanks so much for responding on this. But some good information, Fadi, today. Thank you for going through all of that, some of those key features that we'd be looking for. I know it's areas that we commonly hear, right, from our own customers and from those that we're just having conversations with in the industry, areas that can significantly improve the way that they're operating today. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Let's see where we're at. Some yeses, some nos, some
Yeah,
split. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
appreciate
mean, a lot
everybody.
of people are, are working okay with Excel and Microsoft Project and SharePoint and these different uh, independent tools, but really, it's not scalable if you stay with an independent tool. There's a lot of overhead to manage these tools, and a lot of mistakes happen when you're using these variety of tools. But they do the job when you are a medium or smaller size company, and they work well. They're flexible. So what do we do here at Sidetracker? Uh, we do have that platform, that business process management platform that helps you pull all of this together, from starting with development all the way to operation and maintenance, going by EPC and asset management. We're pulling it all together, from land acquisitions to parcel management to lease management upfront, all the way to having these detailed schedules on the construction side and interacting with your subcontractor for the EPC part or for your design part, if you have subcontractor doing the design for you, pulling it all into one place, so the project manager become more efficient and providing visibility to the rest of the company. And operation and maintenance is also part of our tool, and that also has a great incentive to bring the asset management and operation and maintenance team into the same platform, because they also use a lot of the documentation and the contracts and the obligation that really were established during the development phase, in terms of lease contract, land leases, in terms of PPAs, in terms of permit renewals, and so on. These all need to be transferred to the asset management team and the operation team, and they need to maintain these obligations and these contracts. And this is one good way to transfer it to them, instead of having a big scramble at the handoff to O&M, which everybody struggle with today, because it's 2 years after you start developing your project, and now you're trying to rebuild the library of documents you need to transfer to O&M, versus here it will happen as seamlessly as possible by doing that transition. So pulling the whole company together in a single system is also very powerful and very efficient. So we provide all the pieces we talked about. We help you centralize your data. We help you integrate with the ERP, and we help you interact with your subcontractor through the system platform. And more importantly, the foundation is bringing your processes into a single system, interconnecting them with your schedule, and enable these closed loop learning. We pull it all together. We empower you to get you to level 4 and 5, help you have a strong foothold in level 3, and allow you to get to level 4 and 5. So this is a roster of the companies we work with. You can see some large ones. We have a strong foothold in solar and growing very rapidly. We work a lot with utilities, and you know how hard is it to sell software to utilities. They see a great helper with our tools, so it's deployed on many of the utility companies. And we have a very strong foothold into the EV charge point and EV fleet deployment. This is an industry that picked up fast the last 2-3 years. And most of the large, EV charge point deployment and EV fleet deployments are using the Sidetracker. As you know, EV, it's very similar to solar. You go through the development phase, you go through the construction phase, and then you need to manage and maintain that asset. And we're looking forward to hopefully working with you, and would love for you to reach out, and we can schedule a demo for you and walk you through details on how our tools work and how we can help you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Fadi, for the fantastic information. I so appreciate your time this morning on this Ecotech Talk. As promised, you guys, we left some time at the end here for questions. Thank you guys so much for submitting those. We're seeing them come in now. Please continue to submit now at this point if you have any others. Again, if we don't get to them right now, I promise we'll follow up an email. I'm going to just go ahead and start and dive into a couple of them here that we're receiving. So, a question here we just got. I'm guessing actually probably a lot of people on the call today are dealing with this or have dealt with this in some way or another. But this person mentioned having a large number of subcontractors that they're needing to support management of work. And so basically the question is, how are you building opportunities for collaboration with crews, with subcontractor crews? It's been difficult to move quickly and manage both various internal and external team members in the field consistently and in a single place. So you kind of mentioned this earlier, but maybe you can reiterate a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what one of the powers of these tools is, to bring in all your subcontractor into the same tool to interact with them. And part of our EPC module, we do have all this functionality for managing RFIs, managing submittals, managing change orders, and also giving visibility to the subcontractor into sections of your schedule or part of your documentation. All these permissions are adjustable to bring them in and getting them to collaborate with you into that same system. We also have a bidding module where also when you are looking for subcontractors, where companies can come and use the bidding module to submit proposal to you to reply to your RFP. So the combination of those two functionality, the contractor portal and the bidding module, really empowers you to manage your subcontractor and in your own tool instead of in Excel and email, which has become problematic as you have many of them. So that also connect to your vendor qualification, so that also all of it is in one system.
Absolutely. And I'd also say our mobile app, right? I mean, that really allows those field teams to stay in constant connection with what's happening with projects and feed that information directly back. So that's great. Okay, another question that's coming in here, kind of in a different direction. So this person asked, okay, my current reporting process has been a struggle. I'm sure we can all relate to that, using spreadsheets that are instantly dated once we pull the information out. Yes, that sounds familiar. So, how is your solution better? Fadi, I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the whole solution, is to really have a single source of truth that is have current data, and you can go pull it in the morning and you can pull it in the evening, pull your report and get an instantaneous data from the system. This is really what is the foundation to allow you to go to level 4, is really having the ability to get current data and not having to walk around the building 6 times to the different project manager asking for their latest budget or their latest schedule to allow you to build the report that you want to do. So this is really an essential benefit. The foundational benefit of the system is having a single source of truth that is reportable and accessible to everybody that need to use it.
Totally. Love it. Okay. We got two that are somewhat similar, so I'm going to kind of combine these two for you, Fadi. Okay, so the questions are, how long does implementation for a tool like this usually take? And I think kind of related to that a bit
Yeah.
is this person wanted to know, can you talk more about onboarding, training, kind of ongoing support services? So I'd loop kind of implementation, onboarding, training, support into one.
Yeah, and the tool is extensive. It covers many departments. What we have seen the most successful way of doing it, as a company start wanting to deploy these tools, go department by department, deploy it in your development team, get your development team up and running, integrate their processes, then bring in your EPC team and layer it over that, and then bring in to your O&M team and then layer that. And that's a journey, depending on the complexity of your company and the size of your company, could take 2 months for each department. or it takes a little bit longer if you have very specific processes that you need develop specifically for you. So we've seen, challenges when you try to do too much at one time. It becomes too complicated and many competing areas. So going department by department every 2 months is the most reasonable way. And now, in terms of onboarding and training, we do have an implementation team that will work with you to capture your current processes and map them to our tool and enhance the tool and customize it or configure it for you to fit you better. That will work with you and part of the implementation of that tool. And then they will go through a training to the super user or the trainer on your team that we rely on to train. We train the trainer, and we get you guys to train your team. We do have, of course, a support team always available to enhance the features or to help you in any way we can. And we also have, kind of a Sidetracker university where you can send your super users, your administrators to a formal class and formal certification that we offer to get trained on, supporting your users and really owning the applications. So we support you in many ways in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love seeing all of our, I don't know, our group of users really kind of evangelize and talk about the fact that they've gone through that administrator, certification on LinkedIn. You see them posting their badges, and it's like a badge of honor there. So that's great. Okay, a couple more questions we'll try to get through here. You guys, thanks for continuing to submit those. This next one, does Sidetracker support the ability to build custom features?
Yes, we do support the ability to support custom features for you. We do have a team dedicated to that, engineering services team that will work with you and add specific features for you. And this is one of the power of the Sidetracker platform. It is extensible that for you in any way you want it.
Perfect. Okay, another one that's just come in. Do you have a template that will track project budget to final cost and templates to do historic tracking of project to project trends?
So what we do have today is a project module in Sidetracker, but to harness the power of it, really you want to integrate it with your ERP system, because ERP systems have a much more sophisticated budget module. So what we're trying to do is interface to an ERP system and present that budget to the project manager in Sidetracker, so he can stay and see his budget and manage his budget and issue POs against that budget from Sidetracker. But the core of the budget is an ERP system. And these budget, they can be templatized, but as you know, solar projects, you can templatize the items, but the cost varies a lot, right? Depending on the region, depending on the equipment you buy. So it's templatizable, but I don't know how efficient it is to templatize in the solar world.
Great. And then another one that's just coming through, can Sidetracker integrate with monitoring platforms?
Yes, of course. We do integrate with monitoring platform, and this is essential for O&M because you have half of your team is working in an operation platform where they're doing monitoring the sites, and your field team, your maintenance team is operating in Sidetracker. And these two platforms need to interact together to allow the operator to generate work orders in Sidetracker and also have visibility into the execution of these work orders. So these platforms, similar to integrating with ERPs, we do integrate with monitoring platforms.
Great. Okay, and I think we will just take one more question. What are some of the key challenges that customers who have deployed a tool like this, what have they experienced, essentially, is the question here.
Yeah, the experience is really uh, getting it into all the users' hand and getting everybody trained on it is need to be systematic and having the support available uh, to those users. Many companies they just turn on the tool without any internal support, and the users struggle with it. So you need to have a champion. Is essential to have a champion at your company to allow you to be the super user, the coach, the owner of that tool to really support the team to absorb it and to move to it and migrate the data. And so having a champion is really the most essential part to make those tools successful when you deploy them.
Absolutely. Got to have that internal champion. Well, at this point, you guys, I think we're going to cut off the Q&A, but thank you so much. That was just a ton of fantastic questions. So we really appreciate you guys sending those in. If you have any others, of course, don't hesitate to shout. We're always here to answer any other questions you might have. And of course, Fadi mentioned this before as well, but if you are interested in learning a bit more about Sidetracker and how we're supporting leaders across solar development, EPC, O&M, and asset management, please reach out, schedule a demo today. We would love to speak with you more and hear more about what you're currently doing and maybe where you're at within that pyramid. Thanks so much for the time today, guys. Fadi, thank you to you for all of your time this morning. And hopefully we talk to you soon. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.